Hello folks, I'm JDporkchop and welcome to another episode of Surviving Space Engineers. Today we are going to put the final touches to our battleship and get it moved over to the Let's Play game. I'm not 100% happy with the sort of bridge area. I think it makes it look like a oil tanker rather than a battleship, but it'll do for now. I can always iterate on this and fiddle around with it between episodes, and we'll just call this the Mark 1. For now. What name we're going to give it, I haven't quite decided yet, and I haven't had any ideas in the comments, but if you have an idea of what we should call this ship, feel free to stick it down below. So, on to, very quickly, this. Now, I have been playing around with this for the last hour or two. I've never used this mod before, and oh my, is it cool. It is very cool. So, this is, I think it's just called the Torpedo mod. And it adds modular constructible torpedoes. Now this is the large one, as you can probably tell by the size of it. There is also a small grid ones, which are just as cool. So what we have here is a nuclear warhead attached to the torpedo, which is made up of lots of different components. And I'm going to show you how to make one of those. But first, let's fire this one off, just to give you an idea. So I've made a target. This thing will go out to a range of 30 kilometers. So down in the toolbar down below, we have a lock on. We have locked onto that grid. I can now turn and go in any direction, go up to 30 kilometers away, and it will keep that lock. I can then, the second button, number 2, is going to start a timer to arm the warhead, and I'm immediately going to launch. The timer is going to tick for a couple of seconds and then launch, trigger the warhead. It's now going to zoom in on its target. And let's not get too close. Now that was 3 layers of heavy armor, and it is just melted through it. There is nothing left. It's gone. So these things are powerful. These things are very, very powerful. So anyway, let's go back to our little mini launch pad, and I'm going to quickly show you how these things work. So we have initially just the pylon. If we go into our tools, at large block torpedo is what you wanted to go for, and that is this thing, the hard point. The other things that you're going to need is you have the penetrator. Now this thing doesn't really have much of an explosive charge, but it's heavy armor, and it will basically cut through heavy armor, and then you could maybe place some extra explosives on the missile and have them timed, so that you can break through, get inside the ship you want to destroy, and then have the bomb go off. This one is a high explosive, and the one that we just tested was the nuclear penetrator. So we're obviously going to do the nuclear one again, because it's super cool. And we are going to do, let's have a little look. Right, we need, so initially we need this. This is the thing. So this thing is going to connect to the hard point, the CC interface. The other things we're going to need is obviously a thruster. And let's just have a think. We need those thrusters as well. That's directional thrusters. We want a gyroscope. We also want the timer. And I feel like I'm missing something. Oh yes, and we also need these merge cylinders. Okay, so let's get up here. So the first thing you need to put down is the CC interface. Now when you put it on, it's going to show red until you rotate it into the correct position, which is here. And I'm just going to paint them green just so they look, all comes together. If you look, you can sort of see like this one is different to the others. That's where it's going to click in, and it has those 2 white bars, so that when it clicks in, those bars will turn green. Say it is connected, it is good to go. Okay, which way's forward? That way's forward. So, oh, I'll tell you what else we forgot. Reactor. There's the reactor. Now there's tons and tons of parts to this. These are just very simple ones that I've put together. There is also a battery, and we can do a battery-powered one, but in testing, I feel like the reactor has just a bit more oomph to it. It gets up to speed quicker, but I could be wrong. And then we will stick the warhead on the front. Oh no, tell you what we've missed. Get rid of that. But 3. So this thing is the what's it called? The merge cylinder. So this thing is basically we can start putting components into this. So this is the timer block. I don't think it really matters which way it goes round, but I still want the arrow pointing forward. This one here is a gyroscope to help keep the missile stable. So we'll stick that one there. What are we going to put in the underneath? Have I missed something? Oh no, I'll tell you what we've done actually. We're not going to put these in this one because I want to keep this one for thrusters, directional thrusters. So we'll just put this here. So that's the gyro. Come on. Go in place. There we go. That's the timer. Then that block we'll get to in a second. And then stick our warhead on the front. There we go. And then this one we're going to stick directional thrusters, 1 in every direction. Come on. A little fiddly, but we will get there. Go, and one more underneath. And then let's have a little look. Right, so that's it. Now this could be fired in its current state as just a dumbfire missile. But the really important bit, the thing that makes everything super fun, is the guidance system. And this is actually, this guidance system comes as a separate download. So if you look in the mod pack that will be linked down below, as it is with all my videos, you'll see that there is one mod that's just called Torpedo Guidance System or something. That is this. Now, we go in here, we can go into the control system for this guidance. And we have a huge number of options. So first of all, you have all the different guidance modes. So lock on and seek forward. I think that's the one we've just used, where we can lock on and it will shoot at the thing. Lock on by aim block. If we have it basically works like a slave script. So if I point one of my turrets at the thing and then fire the missile will go where that turret is pointed at. Lock onto a GPS area where I can just put in a GPS location and it will hit that target. So that would be good for things like airstrikes. You know, if we want to hit a base that's on the surface of a planet, like modern day cruise missiles kind of idea. And then glide mode, I think it just goes in a straight line, but I'm not sure. This is just the manual of that lock-on launch missile. And then we have a huge list of options down here, including one that really caught my eye. Vertical takeoff. Which I really like the idea of that. And we'll come back to that with our main battleship over there in just a second. Now here, lock-on distance, you can bang that up to, oh no, it's not 30,000, it's 50,000 or 50 kilometers, sorry. Now that's a huge distance. That is massive. But I don't think we'd ever use that out at that distance. Maybe if you were on a multiplayer server or something. Clearance duration. I think, yeah, so that is so that we could let it glide out a little bit longer. That'll also be good for when we do our vertical launch. You'll be able to, wait until it gets a wee bit away from the ship before it does anything. But yeah, lots of options, very configurable, a very impressive mod. Now I was thinking, if we're going to fire this second missile off, we better have something even better to shoot it at. And I hate to do this, old buddy, but we're going to go into this, and we're going to pull up our old ship, the Serenity. I'm sorry, but you're going to be the test pilot for today. So it's loaded. If it'll load, or crash. Well, ta-da! So, there it is. Let's get back to our missile. And we're going to do the same as before. Now, quickly go in here. Get rid of all this stuff. Go guidance. Lock on target. Timer. Start. So I need to go and set that timer up. And then guidance. Launch missile. Quickly, just go to the timer. Set up actions. Arm the warhead. You don't want to be flying around with one of these arms, because if it gets hit by a stray bullet, it go bang. Right, do we need to do anything else for this? I think I'll just turn the time down to about 3 seconds. And yep, that should be everything fine. So this time again we can do lock onto target. Tell you what we have to do. We have to get able to lock onto friendly targets. Friendly, there we go. So try again. Lock onto target. It's locking onto the small grids, which should be fine. It's still gonna, let's just cycle through. There we go. Locked onto the Serenity. Because it's still got that little rover hanging on the underneath. And then start the timer, launch the missile. Now it seems to look like it's very slow, but remember this thing will just gather speed. So if we're hitting it, firing it from a long way off, it is going to really get some speed when it hits its target. I think it blew it in half. It did, it blew it clean in half. So, very powerful. Very, very powerful warhead. That's just absolutely, just cut it right in half. So, in the knowledge that these things are pretty scary and super powerful, and the idea of launching them vertically, a bit like a submarine in the in today's world, we have these two little holes. Down in these little holes are, if I can get in there, the pylons. So I'm going to stick 2 missiles here. We've already just put those ones together on camera, but just to say, everything's pretty much done in here. This is definitely a ship I'm probably just going to tweak here and there between episodes and iterate. But what we've got is, down the front here, power and gyros. In the middle is just the weapon system. I've put these blocks here as extra protection for the conveyor belt system, because if the conveyor gets knocked out, then ammo can't get distributed through the ship, or fuel for that matter. We have our 2 regenerative engines. We didn't... Hold on, let me through. And then at the back, more power, more reactors. We have our big hydrogen tanks, oxygen tanks underneath, more gyros hidden in the back there. This is going to be our launch platform. Then just a door at the back. This isn't going to be pressurized. I was kind of thinking how cool it would be to have like launch bay doors, but because I came to like sticking these in after the fact, I don't really have the room to be putting missile doors in. But I think definitely in future we are going to build a missile ship, some sort of torpedo boat. I think would be a really cool thing. But that's maybe a future project. So all in all, I'm really happy with how this build came out. It is, yeah, it's not the most amazing thing that I've ever built, but considering it was built in 3 days over 4 or 5 hours, just doing it here and there, I'm quite proud of it. Right, so I'm going to put the missiles in. Well, what should we do? Should we give this a test run in some way? I think that would be the best thing. How could I spawn stuff in? I'm not entirely sure how to do that. Yeah, I'm going to cut here. We're going to maybe find a way of just doing a little bit of testing with this, and then we will get on with the show. So, with a little bit of tweaking, we have a nuclear warhead in the back of the ship. One little issue that I didn't actually think of at the time is that these blocks actually take up the space here, even though they're inside this block here. So I wasn't able to put one in there so this doesn't have a gyro, which it should be okay because it's still got the thrusters and stuff. You just got to hope that it doesn't blow up. Also, remember, use blast doors so that it doesn't connect to anything. There's a blast door there as well. And another little thing, that vertical takeoff doesn't work how I thought it worked. What it will basically do is it will fire thrusters out the side. So if you want it to take off like this, don't turn it on. It's if you're in a gravity well and you want it to sort of pop up into the air then shoot forward, that's when you turn that setting on. So don't turn it on, because I turned it on and the thrusters fired out the side and it just started bouncing around inside my ship and then exploded, which was fun. So the other thing is I have added this. This is a little designator. I'm just wanting to test it out to see if it's going to work. So I've spawned in another couple of Serenities and we are going to... Now, how do I launch this without... So I guess I've got to sort of launch it and then go into the thing. So let's launch a torpedo. How cool is that? Come on, how cool is that? And then we will aim... Yeah, let's not aim at ourselves. This one. Go here. Is it going to work? I feel like it's not working, but I don't want to come out in case... Okay, we're going to come out. Hopefully it will stay pointing where it's supposed to point. Where's my missile gone? Oh, it didn't work. Okay, that obviously needs... There's now an armed nuclear warhead. I'd like to also point out that warhead has a nuclear reactor attached to it. So it's just going to keep going forever and ever. And we're in creative mode, so it can't even run out of fuel. Anyway, that maybe needs a little bit of iteration. Or maybe we'll just continue with the... Ooh, it's a bit of lag. Maybe we'll just continue with the point and shoot method. Anyway, last little thing, we're going to test out some of the big guns, because I thought that would be a cool thing to finish up with today. I just feel like that missile is just going to appear out of nowhere. It's making me very paranoid. Right, so, what were we doing? Yeah, we're going to test some of these guns. Right, Gatling turret. No, that's vanilla. We don't need to test that. Cannon, here we go. So this is the front one. This is the little one. Is it the little one at the front? Yeah, it's the little one at the front. So let's blow some... Let's get that turret. Oh, yeah. This is the little one. Wow, it's got a really long reload time. But still, it's powerful. Okay. So, let's just go and sort of investigate the damage. That's a fair distance as well. It's 700 meters. Oh wow, yeah, that definitely put some dents in it, didn't it? Okay, so that one's quite effective, and that's just the small turret. Now let's go and have a look at the big ones, and then we'll do the Gatling gun, and then that's us. Done. The ship is finished. Now, quick look and see. Another thing we can do is slave all these turrets to that laser designator, so that there's a script somewhere for that as well, or we can slave it to a turret or something. Let's take control. Okay, so let's just zoom in a little bit so I can see where I'm shooting. Oh, I think we just hit the turret in front of us. It's not really going very well, is it? Right, hold on, let's bring the nose down. Try that again. Yeah, there's definitely less turrets than there was. Oh no, they're all still there. Okay. But yeah, I picked the wrong. It's going to be an undecided one. I'll probably sit and rename them all. Obviously got lots of setting up and stuff to do yet. Yeah, I've picked the wrong. Okay, let's try that again. Let's pick this one. Oh, I'll pick the same one. Oh, okay, let's just shoot at that one. Go. Oh, wow. Now remember, we have 4 of the double cannons and 2 of the little ones. Okay, this has got really long reload time, but the damage it does in just one volley is pretty good. Wow, yeah, we were almost blown it in half, just 2 volleys. Cool. So I'm happy with that. And then obviously we still have the Gatling turrets and stuff, and then we also have our anti-missile turrets, which I don't know how good these will be against. Wow, that's sensitive. It's supposed to be for killing missiles, so I don't know how good it's going to be against actual targets. I don't think it's even reaching. But, no matter. And then, I think that's it. Oh no, one last thing. One last thing. We have this. Oh, I'm so bad at aiming this thing. Oh no, we hit it. No, we didn't. Okay, so it's like way underneath. There we go. Wow, I really am terrible at aiming that thing. And let's have a little look and see. Yeah, so this ship is kind of messed up. I think it's even more messed up than the time I messed it up. It's kind of like a big hole where most of the internals are supposed to be. So, our new little battleship is going to do the job. And not only that, but it has those regenerative engines inside. So as long as nothing gets more than 50% damage, we don't have to go back to port for repairs. So, yep, I am 100% happy with this. Only thing left to do is finish off those 2 torpedoes. And I think in a future game, probably, unless people say they really want to see it, I think I might retrofit this. Rip out this top deck and all the guns, maybe leave the underneath guns, but have a sort of retractable missile bay, and have like a load of those, but maybe not all nukes, because that'd be a bit OP, but like the normal high explosive and penetrator ones. And, you know, do lots of maybe like little individual missile silos along the ship. I think would be a really cool thing. Either retrofitting one of these, or building a new ship altogether that's a missile ship. Maybe also some light torpedo fighters, you know, that'd be quite cool. So anyway, I think we have... I kind of wanted to get this into the other game, but due to mucking around with nuclear warheads and stuff, that one's still floating off into space. We've kind of ran out of time. I think I'm just going to wrap it up here, but I promise this is the last time we're going to be in this creative world. We're going back to our main game. There's just bits of Serenities everywhere, man. I feel so guilty. But I've really enjoyed building this. It's not perfect, but it's still pretty cool. It's still, you know, it's like a 90% cool. And I may continue to sort of work on it in between episodes when I've got nothing to do. Because it could be cooler. So anyway, I am going to leave it here. If you've enjoyed the episode, please consider giving it a like, as it helps. Subscribe if you haven't already. Any suggestions or alterations to the ship or any other cool stuff you want to see, stick it down below. In the next episode, we will be back on our asteroid base, and we'll probably take this thing for a little spin and do some other stuff. So, I've been JDporkchop. I'll see you in the next episode.